So Jeff, yeah, I just remembered the first year we went to Columbus was the year that Josh Cyril won.
Take a pause.
Sorry, Josh Cyril, what? Yeah, Derek does that.
I just randomly start the show because it was supposed to start like a minute ago. And I don't know if you watched any of the past shows. We don't have an intro other than for me to say, welcome to RC Babel, where we don't really talk about much, and you're probably going to waste an hour of your time. But that's what we do for an hour on a Monday. And depending on what time zone you're in, 5:30, 7:30, 8:30. I don't know.
8:30.
Somebody already got his kit, Zach Farmer.
Yeah, hey, we're here. Getting reamed out. You're going to get a lot of that. Where's my shit?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad we're past that.
So fans of the show may know that we're old. This isn't makeup. Jeff has a wig, and Chad just dated himself because he made a gas conversion, which happened 30 years ago. But when we had to convert to gas. But we're here going to talk about some gas truck, which is technically not true because it's not running on gas, but that's what we call it, I think. Right?
It's time for a rebadge, I feel like. We need to stop calling it gas truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, good luck. But yeah, I mean, you're right.
Jeff is back. If anybody missed him, his hair's longer.
That's about the time that I was gone longer. Yeah.
His green beard dye. It's going to March because he's going to be a leprechaun. And we got Chad. Chad runs a company. Chad, say hello and tell us what your company is trying to do right now.
I mean, like, I'm not very goal driven, so.
You fit right in. Jeff like should be your mentor.
We're going to be good buddies, man.
This is a hobby for me like anybody else. So I have a full-time job. Yeah. And, just to make a usable gas truck, nitro stadium truck available to everybody was my goal. And it's kind of like everybody says, oh, man, it's the greatest class ever, which I agree. I concur with that and support that. But I'm ready to see if people will put their money where their mouth is. So
Jeff disagrees. We've had this discussion on here before because his comment to me when I said what was going on today was, you want to repeat yourself, Jeff?
Why?
No.
Gas trucks are stupid.
Close to your statement.
I don't remember. I actually don't remember.
I think you said I hate gas truck, but okay.
Maybe. I do. I've been vocal about that. I don't hate it as like I have anything against it. It wasn't my favorite class. I never owned a GT or any of those cars myself, but that doesn't mean I wasn't going to bring that up myself, especially based on Chad being here. But no, it's an amazing class. I've been to many big events, covered many events for the magazine. That's where I met Tebow when he was the super fast 13-year-old gas truck guy. No, it's a great class. Me personally, it's not for me, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. It's hard. It really is.
It's a different drive.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Jeff can't drive a car that pushes, first of all. Chad, so everybody knows you are or were sponsored by Elise Shock Oils. But what is your main chassis?
My favorite class is 1/8 scale nitro buggy. And I fill in with 10 scale electric just because I have to. But for the most part, 8 scale is kind of my passion. And then, it used to be obviously nitro truck too. So, but
yeah, because you remember, Chad, when they raced those side by along, like that was the weekend. It was 8 scale buggy and 10 scale truck at the same weekend, the same track.
Those are the two cars you brought.
Yeah, right. For a while.
Chad and I were discussing in the pregame. Gas truck started at electric races for me. You raced it with electric class outdoors, as we were saying when people used to do that. Jeff only races on carpet now. He's Canadian.
No, I never covered races like that. And you being in California, maybe you saw the earlier stages of the mix of the. I didn't see that myself.
I was in Connecticut.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you would have been in Connecticut that time.
So you're an on-road racer, Jeff?
No, no, that's the joke. I enjoy carpet off-road as of late, but I mean, like you, I've been doing this for many decades, so I've run many of the classes. Funnily enough, not gas truck, but my favorite class would also be 1/8 scale nitro.
Yeah,
but no, I have done extensive on road, but no, now I don't do anything the current moment. But carpet off road is what Derek always makes fun of me for.
Oh yeah,
one freaking class. I love the class.
That's a whole nother show. We can argue about that all day for me.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Yeah, listen, the racing and evolves. There's not much difference between those tacky clay tracks and the carpet off road tracks. To be honest,
yeah, it's called 12 scale with jumps. But anyway, let's go back to the real reason we're here. Not your stupid grass off road carpet crap. Let's go into Chad. You're still sponsored by Associated, not sponsored by Associated. Just
yeah.
A lot of
so I've been racing for Associated since I think 2006. Like the first year they came out with their RC8, the 8 scale.
Mm-hmm.
Richard, I knew Richard pretty well. We were always at races together, and I was running a Jammin at the time. And then Richard said, I think in 2007 when the car became publicly available, said, "Do you want to run the car for us?" And Jared Tebow had a hand in that because we were pretty good friends. And so yeah, since 2007, I've been on Team Associated and Reedy, and was with Proline also. And then I just recently switched to J Concepts this year. So
like everybody,
I was going to say that.
I guarantee I had different motivation than everybody else, though. I guarantee, mainly because of the stadium truck tire lineup.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah. So if I'm going to be pushing this truck and trying to race and make it work everywhere, and somebody says, "What tire do I run?" It was kind of like, I mean,
that makes sense.
Yeah. So outdoor, Jason definitely has more truck options, so that made it pretty natural.
I actually wouldn't have guessed that because we don't race that anymore, so I have no idea what tires are available. But
exactly.
So I don't know if anybody has seen your conversions yet. So
they're beautiful.
Yes. So you make two. Right?
Yeah.
So you got a very famous.
Hey, no mark.
Is that Tebow's paint job, right?
No, I actually gave him his body yesterday. That one is, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And
So
actually,
you got Tebow's, and then you got like the kind of, I think it's probably a better looking Drake body than his actual paint job. So you got the two famous brands.
Isn't that Fend?
Yeah.
Oh, it is Dakota's, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't say that he stole Drake's colors, but
well, yeah. Well, yeah, right.
Sorry. And then the conversion, which this is the Associated, right?
Yep.
Took me a second to just figure out what angle I was at here. And the Losi. And they look factory as F.
Yeah, they look great. They look awesome.
So yeah.
So if anybody didn't know what a gas nitro truck looked like, there you go. And we are going to have a typewriter show later where I show you a typewriter. All the things that we don't use. By the way, I'm a 100% gas truck fan. We've had this discussion before. Is that I wish you would come back, but Jeff thinks that they're undrivable, which I don't.
No,
understand.
I don't say. I've never once said they're undrivable.
Dude, they can be.
Yeah, it's a finesse drive. It makes you a really good driver. You have to have absolute throttle control. It teaches you a lot in this hobby with driving. I mean, I'm not against the class. I am more of a heavy finger style guy now, thus the carpet offer. I like a lot of grip and drive like an idiot. That's just a personal preference. No, I never once said they were undrivable, but it's a delicate drive.
Everybody understands.
It's not as delicate. It won't be as delicate of a drive with the current tracks, depending on what track. But back in the day, it was a delicate drive.
It wasn't before, and the engine. If you went to an OS and had a decent pipe, it was not undrivable. It was very linear.
Like you're saying, I didn't say it was undrivable.
I'll go back and I have to go to the tape.
You're gonna go back. Yeah, I challenge you.
Don't challenge you. You didn't even know what you said earlier.
Well, I can look it up. I have the email.
But so here's it's not an email. It was on video, idiot. But so here's the question is. So Chad, you're an 8 scale buggy lover. Why did I'll tell this story again. When Team Associated came out with their gas truck 0.2 or whatever it was called, GT2, right? Remember that?
Quick change hubs, the quick change rear hub.
Yeah. So they came out with that when they released that chassis. It was like the day after nuclear war. There was no gas truck racing.
That was the end.
Yes. And so I did an interview with them, and basically they wanted to kill me afterwards because I asked the question when it came out was, how is it to develop a truck? And then when it finally comes out, the class is gone. What happened? And they couldn't answer that. Sorry, Kirk, he didn't want to answer it in the right way. He kind of got mad, and they all hated me for a solid couple months and wanted to pull their advertising. But it was kind of dead on arrival. And their answer after, when they figured it out, would have been, well, we'll hope this helps revive it. They didn't answer it that way. They just skipped the question. But you're kind of like giving me that same, like, why would you do this? And I'm saying that in a nice way because I really want to drive a gas truck again.
Right.
And what is wrong with you?
I mean, more curiosity than anything. One, for my own benefit. So I made it, and I'm like, I just want one.
Yeah.
So I did it, and I had one. So I'm like, well, I'm kind of curious if people actually put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
So more of it was just like kind of a challenge to all the people that say, greatest class ever, or let's bring it back. It's more a challenge to those people to say, how much do you mean it?
It's also a different type of a release than a GT2. Team Associated is a massive company that is trying to keep a class going or sell a huge amount of vehicles. So I'm sure Chad would enjoy selling a huge amount of vehicles, but he told us already, as a job, this is a fun thing. Yeah. If you're making stuff for like a vintage market or a small following, you can do extremely well. So it's a whole different release than the GT2, I would say.
Exactly.
And very well timed, given people of our age and what. I mean, look at the Nix 91, the Masami car, and all those sort of options you have to build an old car. They have huge following. So anyway, different. It's a different baby than GT2. So different question.
And then timing wise, also, I think Truggy's fallen off. Truggy to me is where Gas Truck was in 2006. Truggy is now where Gas Truck was in 2006. It's dwindling off. You get to a lot. Dirt Nitro Challenge excluded because that doesn't count. You go to races and you can barely fill out heats with Truggies. So because everybody has to have a second class, and Truggy was that for a long time, and I know E-Buggy can also be that second class. It could fill that gap for a second support class.
Do you think Truggy's dying off because in general Nitro is dying off and it's becoming it's just collapsing to where it's like going down to the core, like, when electric racing was brought back, I mean, the revival was with Slash. So, I mean, this is somewhat imploding that nobody's really making new Nitro stuff. I mean, I know they are, but it's not a headline of anything anymore. Engines are just who has a new brand, and there's excitement within them. Believe me, I still love Nitro, and I thought about, somebody asked me at work of like, why would you buy a Nitro car now? And really, the answers are only, it's a different experience because it's not faster, it's not easier. Realistically, runtime. You can argue that you can run indefinitely with electric. I don't really know if you can. I don't know if they'll melt down still, but I don't think so.
We ran a 6-hour Enduro with an electric. It was fine.
Off-road?
We did, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
it's similar to you gear it right when it's all set up, right? It's similar to a Nitro where you'll reach an operating temperature and then maintain that.
Yeah. What does the kit come with? So obviously you need to buy a chassis. So you have two chassis build offs. One's the low C.
Yeah. So you buy your whatever people are calling the donor car, and then my kit, and then from that point on, you're like any other kit in the world, any other Nitro kit. So just electronics, motor pipe. It comes with the clutch. It comes with fuel tank, basically all the stuff you need. And like I said, it just brings it to a typical kit where and then also I'm providing the pipe as well as an option to purchase. So the whole goal here is if I was going to do it, it's going to be turnkey. You don't have to hunt anything on eBay. You don't have to look for vintage parts. There's no vintage parts. Everything that you get is made today. So
you didn't find some parts and put in a bag. How much are the conversions? So we're talking
$2.95.
$2.95.
That's right, $295.
Good deal.
Which is kind of funny.
That's fair.
I'll be transparent. I wanted the price point to be at $195, and that's just ignorant. So that
include the pipe or no?
That's no pipe. That basically will get you a rolling chassis. Donor car, my kit, you get a rolling chassis for $295 plus whatever you have in your donor kit. But yeah, I mean, obviously I wanted it to be lower, but just, it is what it is. There's a lot of parts.
If you're doing low runs, you don't have the economies of scale. And people will be willing to pay. People are going to pay.
I think at 45. I think I'm at about 45 pieces for each kit for part count. So it escalated pretty quickly. When I started, I'm like, 12 parts or so, but you can't just make somebody go hunt down a drive pin or
no,
X by X bearing. You got to include it all. So, and then just nickel and dime at a time, the price goes up. So,
are you just out of curiosity? Are you making the fuel tanks, or you're getting?
No, I source those from X-Ray.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot more. Yeah, because you wouldn't want to make a fuel tank, right? Yeah, good,
right.
Awesome.
And then X-Ray, they're good at producing parts. So,
it's not a cheap. It's not a cheap part.
But if you need it, they make it. So it's it just goes into that availability, and it's not going to be obsolete in a year. So
yeah, that's important as well, especially on these kind of low run ones. You get a bunch of people following it. Well, you already touched upon this by not putting any vintage parts in, but you get a following, no matter how small or big it is. And if a year later it's of no use, if you break apart, then that sucks. So
right, exactly. And that was a lot of people's questions before they even purchased on the first run. It was like, what am I going to do? Are you going to continue support of this? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it going. So everybody was concerned whether they'd be able to keep the trucks on track.
Yeah. Well, and in this industry at this time, that's a very valid conversation. Yeah. Especially on a short run. Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't change any of the suspension. This is just chassis and the the motor, not the motor mounts, obviously. Yeah. Upper deck. Clutch parts. What about the transmission? Is it you changed the top shaft?
No, it uses each kit's respective transmission. So you change the outer slipper plate and the spur gear, and that's it as far as transmission. You don't even have to open up the transmission to do the conversion. So my case is I have an electric truck you can just take it apart with the center section complete, your servo, your speedo, battery, motor still dangling in there, and just pull the front and rear clips off, and you can literally flop it over to nitro in just a few minutes.
That's awesome.
So it's it just doesn't require a whole lot of additional parts to go back and forth.
So back in the day, I mean, the gas trucks were already kind of mid-motor, and the new setup on all these trucks is pretty much almost like it's designed for that now, right? I mean, you're looking at them because they look like it's a factory car.
GT Trinity looks similar to current.
Yeah, and it doesn't. Nothing's moved, and it's like, man, it's almost too easy to make this look like it's supposed to.
Way to choose an easy project.
Well, no, I mean, you didn't have to flip it. You didn't have to flip the transmission. You didn't have to do any of that stuff. It's almost laid out for you to go, hey, put a nitro motor in this.
Exactly.
And, we have one of our guys that paints for us, and he's also somewhat mentally challenged.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if we discussed this on before, but he had a gas truck that he converted to electric. I get confused because it really makes no sense. We've made fun of him on this before, but he converted a nitro GT to an electric truck for I don't know what reason. And somebody makes that conversion. Like, I mean, I don't know if they were drunk or just Rick and Morty's alternate dimension where it did, it's like flipped, but. That doesn't make sense. This makes sense. There is no gas truck. Nobody makes a gas. I mean, you could say Traxxas still does. I don't, we could race them. But I feel like that's the only two-wheel drive nitro truck that's almost still in production. I mean, there's got to be another one, but I don't think
exclusive. It's pretty exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jason.
So in the terms of handling, that was my next question. How do they handle?
So like the track we run on is pretty decent grip, a decent amount of grip. So I've been on a couple different tracks, like insanely ice skating rink loose, which I struggled on. I struggled to get grip, and it was really hard to drive. But you're able to get grip. I was able to adapt and get it to work. But the biggest characteristic you can take from it is its jump handling. It's like it should be. So, you go over a jump and it just pitches right. It adjusts attitude right. And I don't know if you remember, like the old GTs, they were just weird to jump. Like you were always scared of bigger jumps because they'd get kicked and they just kind of dead sailor on you pretty easily. These are they just jump really well.
So did you compare like weight biases and layouts to the GT, or did you wing it, or did you just this is where the motor's got to go and that's where it's going to go? And
I'm sure you just winged it all.
I mean, what do they say? It's better be lucky than good. That's kind of most of it. That's how I approach everything. So
well, no, but there's a certain component that you don't have control over. I mean, other than say spur gear size. But if you want to keep the transmission where it is, which you did and do, then the motor does have to go into a certain area. So some of the positioning you wouldn't have an option, I assume.
That's what drove it. It's just making the gearing work, the spur gear size work, all the fitment, and then the handling could be adjusted to make it work. I mean, these things are infinitely adjustable.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I said, the skating rink track I was on, I went to like the old GT toe settings, like 4.5 degree.
Mm-hmm.
And who does that?
Yeah, right.
So
they still make,
but it worked. It came to life at 4.5. It was good.
They still make 4-degree blocks, or was that hub and the combination?
Gosh, now I can't remember. It was.
Well, it's all the pills now, right? It's all the pills.
It was all in the pills.
You got quite a few of them.
Kurt Winger might call me out. Maybe it was 4-degree max is all you can get out of the stock blocks.
Because I feel like they used to do 2 degrees in the hubs too, but I don't 100% remember.
Yeah, there is 0. At least the AE. I can't speak a lot about the TLR.
I mean, you could see the toe end with the shot.
Exactly. It's a little distorted just because of my camera, but that's pretty accurate. That's a lot of toe. It's at least 4 degrees on there.
Yeah, right, whatever works. Well, not whatever works, but yeah, as long as it works.
But yeah, I mean, I was racing a GT, the original GT, this last summer, just because we all wanted to play with them, and the thing won't turn to save its life, like just all rear traction.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I got to looking at both of them, and a lot of it comes from that massive amount of toe. So.
Yeah, that's what's funny is that Jeff said, they were hard to drive, and I was like, man, I don't know if you ever drove a GT. It was like the whole thing was trying to make the freaking thing turn.
Right. You just let off.
The Losi was definitely.
You also I remember
hard to drive, but it turned. So that was the big difference in the two. One was stable and long term, and one was driving on knife edge, just like the race go car was in the beginning.
Yeah.
The same issue that will exist now if 10 scale truck has a resurgence and is coupled with 1/8 scale. Look at that. What was that? The one we just the Nitro Challenge, whatever. The one that just Joey's race or whatever.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a 10 scale truck on that track? It would be difficult. And the tracks are much bigger and crazier these days than they were, say, in the early 2000s. But some of what made gas truck a delicate drive or a more difficult drive was also the tracks they were on. I remember Freedom Hill, the Detroit track, not the old Loamy one, the one that they built on the side of the hill, which was cracked clay. And like, if you're running a 10 scale anything on an 8 scale style track, especially a much less prepped one, which they were at the time, it's a handful as well. You're falling into the ruts. So
maybe that's why I'm
designed the vehicle.
I love that. Just the gnarlier, the better. And I went to this track down in Oklahoma called Shaw's RC. They have the kind of a self-proclaimed truck nationals. It's a really cool race, fun track, and they had bumps there that would just about swallow your truck. And I love that stuff. Just the gnarlier, the better. And
well, you got to remember, Jeff likes carpet off-road, which means if he has to move his line 1 inch off the previous one, and he can't drive.
Yeah,
but I have done lots of that. I raced the '94 World Challenge at Freedom Hill on the Loamy track. I've got lots of track time on the '90s style, loamed up, fallen into a rut style tracks. I enjoy them very much. They're not around anymore. It's a different kind of
rut. It's the half clay, half.
Loamy tracks don't rut. Soft dirt ruts everywhere. You hit the brakes and press the throttle. Well, our 8-scale buggies were falling into holes on Freedom Hill track on every braking point and acceleration point because the soil is so soft. It's like topsoil, wet topsoil. It gets ripped to shreds. Listen, I don't want to bore everyone with the story, but the only big race I went to was that '94 World Challenge, and I made the A main. I shouldn't have that particular weekend. I was fast enough, but in the 3 qualifiers on Saturday, I shit the bed. At that time, there was rocket run. Only 1 qualifier got you in. And at that time, they would run a Sunday morning 4th qualifier before the mains. But they clean the track up on Sunday morning. So it's a brand new, fresh track for the 4th qualifier, which means the first 3 qualifiers are completely useless. I spun a major spin in the 4th qualifier that I lost 4 or 5, 6 seconds. I still made the main. It was way faster than my best run the day before. Anyway, the loamy tracks got... Yeah, it's over. The point is the tracks get beaten to crap. Those old loamy ones got beaten to crap because they were loamy and soft.
That's what I love.
That's my diatribe.
And maybe that's why I like the trucks so much. It's just because they get so wild. So I think that's what I like about it. And hopefully there's more people like me like that don't like carpet.
Here's, and I thought about this, and we've discussed this sort of before, is for me, things that needed to or have to happen to save nitro. And I'm okay with the trucks. Actually, for me, I would have thought short course would have brought back nitro racing because you could bolt a short course body on, did they extend the chassis on the SC10 GT or whatever it was?
They did a longer chassis. I think it was like 2 parts.
That's an easy fix.
Yeah. So for me, I was like, oh, that's going to be awesome because now you have a more relevant body. It's you can take the scale back, and then you can have a slower car, a lower cost of entry. And what should happen is it should get rid of stupid starter boxes and have drill start only, and have carb insert rules where it throttles it back to where you don't have giant peaks, and they're super drivable. Take away the noise because, to be honest with you, at this point, I don't know how we got away from the decibel restrictions, but we don't need 150 decibel pipes to make power. Focus on making it quiet. So
you think all these new rules are going to help it come back?
Yeah, for me. Shit's too loud. You can't run it anywhere anymore.
Says the old guy. Listen to you.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I agree. I can agree with
it down. Yeah, but you gotta. We're old. I can barely hear.
Yeah, anyway, it's fine. If you're yelling at a bunch of racers on how to bring a class back and then list off all these, make them quieter and slower and limit this, and no one's going to listen, in my opinion, on that one. So, but go on.
Well, nobody listened before, and the class is gone. So shut the F up.
Well, that's true. Okay, that's fair. So trying something new is not.
So make it easier. Have the stupid drill start instead of a starter box, which is way cheaper. It's very easy to put on that car.
Anyways, I said this before. We have it. Making nitro easier is exactly what I would be against. That's one of as I've said
I don't
before.
want to make it easier. It's complicate.
No, it's not. If you want an easier class, race electric. You plug it in, it goes. The nitro, you shouldn't. I'm not saying it shouldn't be easy, but we've had this conversation numerous times. Part of the enjoyment of nitro is the extra difficulty that is required to not only have a chassis that works in a good drive and a good tire package, but also have a good fuel strategy and have a good tune and all the other stuff. So if you're trying to make a nitro class easier, we have that electric.
No, see, this is stupid. Can I mute you now? I watched a video today from Jason Camisa. He's on Haggerty or something, and he was discussing Porsches. They took away a manual transmission on a GT3 because, it's faster or whatever. And he had a good comeback. It's like forcing someone to drive manual is about sexuality. If you're not into women, you're not gonna. If you're into women, whoever they're going to convince you that it's better than men is, you're never going to convert that person. So manual transmission is like someone who races gas truck and nitro, you're never going to convince them that easier is a better experience.
So instead of starting a class and rechanging the rules where you get a manual transmission and buy a conversion kit to, maybe my analogy isn't the best, but what I'm saying is don't try and change an existing
it's not a class. It's no class. We get to start over. The class is not.
Start over.
So then are you only going to make the gas truck easier to start and drive, or are you going to ruin 8-scale nitro as well? Like, anyway, it's fine. Listen, you have an opinion. I differ on that one. We've had this conversation.
Well, you race carpets. It's cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I think, like you mentioned, 8-scale dropping off. I think we're getting ready for kind of a revival of sorts of nitro. I think Truggy's dying off. For me personally, it was just cost, and not personal cost. Not my wallet, because I have pretty good sponsors and stuff. But I saw the prices of Truggy tires, and I finally just got to the point of engines and Truggy tires and what it took to take, $1,000 of tires to a race, because I might need them just for that support class. I didn't want to support it anymore, and it didn't have anything to do with I couldn't spend the money, didn't want to spend the money or whatever. I didn't want to support that. I didn't feel like that was for the betterment of the hobby. So I think Truggy's dying for the cost, just solely cost. I really do. And I think buggies, e-buggy and nitro buggy, and just outdoor racing in general is kind of resurging, especially given our COVID indoor restrictions and stuff. I think this summer is going to be outrageous for outdoor racing.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Right.
Personally.
We hope.
I don't think nitro's going away as a race class. So it's too fun.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is the old win on Sunday, sell on Monday is a whole different story now, because you used to win on Sunday and sell race cars on Monday, but also a bunch of RTRs and all these other non-pro racer type nitro vehicles. That's all gone. The nitro market is almost exclusively racing now. And it was very different back in the Nitro S4 days and where you in the LST days, and you'd sell nitro bashers and nitro on road and all this. It is now specifically almost exclusively race style, which is different than it used to be. So that's going to have some negative effects on future development and how well the class does. But from a racing standpoint, I think it's going to stay strong, as Chad said.
Yeah. On a club level.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out what the hell you just said.
What were we talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, back in the day when there was a big, like the DNC or whatever, you weren't only selling nitro cars to racers back in the early 2000s at the hobby shop. We used to sell 9 nitro cars to people that were bashing to a racer. Now almost all nitro sales are to racers. There's not a lot of bashers in nitro. Okay. So you lose a big segment of the market that you're.
But I'm not sure that made any sense from the racing standpoint. But
what I said before, yeah, probably not.
Yeah, you're Babble.
It happens a lot.
Yeah. How many? So somebody has the T6 nitro conversion. So what's available? Who can buy your kits right now?
So in the interest of not being at risk financially, I'm doing pre-orders, and that's what I did with my first round. It worked pretty well, and that's what we're going to do again. There might be some time in the future where I stock these things, but whatever, we're not there now. So it's pre-order only, and for the TLR and the associated conversions, I'm doing pre-orders again on March 6th. And it's all going to be on my website, just like you would normally. Just click it, buy it. It's just not going to ship for a while. So I'm hoping to ship. Based on like my last experience, it went about 8 weeks. It may have even gone 10 weeks, but somewhere in that window. So
if you're looking to race nitro, gas, whatever we call it, engine truck, order now, pre-order now, buy 2.
That's right.
So you started with the Losi?
I did the AE first, the T6.1. And I actually started, I did a homebrew kit, and I raced it all last summer. And then I finally did pre-orders on like the production kit in October of 20.
Mm-hmm.
So people have just gotten their kits.
Jeff got younger.
Nice.
What's so
So
funny?
people have just gotten their kits and like barely gotten to the tracks with them. I mean, most people have just gotten their kits within the last 4 weeks or so, 4 weeks. And a few people have gotten to the tracks with them. Some of the Australian guys, Ben Panic, Zach Ryan, they're all out racing them. They were racing them this last weekend. And they're all having really good luck with them. All the response I get is, man, this thing's unreal with the handling. Which is cool to hear. I mean, that was my first impression. I threw it down on the track and was just like, whoa, this is really cool. So
did you make any changes from V1 from your first build? Or any major change?
No, just copied it. It worked really well, and everything.
The first one worked awesome.
It was all just fit driven, like we talked about before. So for just ease of adaptability. So, and I just got lucky. It handled really well.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like you said, you would go to chassis tuning rather than make any changes to your design, anyways. At that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What, you gonna tune, not just change the whole chassis? What generation are you from?
I don't know. Sometimes you have to drill a hole. It's really weird. You get your drill out and you measure and
get the Dremel.
I always joke with my
I'll make fun of Jeff again. He can't drive a car that pushes. He just drives into the end of the track. So
I've been through this. I'll take it back and I won't pile it into the end of the. Although I did pile Tossolini's car into the end of the straightaway, but I'll go back to the pits and work on it. I won't keep driving it.
That was my first experience of watching Jeff drive. We get to the Revelation with the on-road track, and he drives. Was his touring car?
Tossolini's Yokomo, nitro Yokomo, yeah.
Yeah, goes down the end of the straight and just bounces off the board. I'm like, you gonna let off at the end of the straight to turn in? Oh, I can't drive.
And I turned around and handed you the radio again.
Yeah, every lap is just like I'm like, yo, let off and set the car in. Nope, it doesn't turn. It doesn't work.
No, that's just my. Listen, I've already admitted that's a problem to my driving skill. Lots of drivers can adapt to a car. I can't. I can when my car's working well, I can drive well. But no, I don't. I've never have in all my years. Why drive a car that doesn't work? Go fix it.
That reminds me, like some of the first advice I ever got in the '90s from a factory team driver, one of the associated drivers. I said, "Man, my car's pushing." He said, "Turn earlier."
Yeah, and he's right. That is the correct advice. Yeah,
that was
turn earlier until you can go fix it.
That's how you raced before we had setup sheets and like people telling you what to do. If your car pushed, you just turn later, you let off earlier, you adapt.
Well, we knew a lot less about setup back in the day. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I don't get on a Mustang and go, hey, I can't drive this car. Let me rework the suspension. You drive.
But back in the day, if in 1990 mention Roll Center to a guy in the pits, and they would have. I mean, most people still don't have a clue what you're talking about. But especially back then, there's more knowledge now with the internet. More people have written it down into a recipe on how to set up cars, which there was no setup guides back in the day that explained all the fundamentals and exactly how they worked. So no, it was a different time then, and that's right. You had to learn how to drive it, and it's still good advice now. Just not any that I've ever taken.
It was like watching the same guy do smash his finger with a hammer every time. Jeff, let off early. Turn in earlier.
I'd go redesign the hammer.
That's why you like to rip it off road.
And believe me, I'm not ignorant to this topic. I never implied then, and I'm not implying now that the car wasn't working well. Tasso got that car around the track very rapidly. It just wasn't set up for me.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
I've driven a lot of pros cars where I was really weirded out by their setup. Like Drake runs no brake. So I was really thrown off by the full brake was barely. I didn't understand how we control the car in the air because I'm an idiot and never set brake. It was just like full lock and front flip. So I was always used to just barely touching it. And I'm like, whoa, let me use the brake like I'm a tuba player or whatever.
I think you'd find that in a lot of pro drivers if they were to swap radios. Many would be able to drive the other guys, but I think a lot of people have their own thing in specific areas.
Half of the racing braking performance, which is really never focused on, but
that's all of it. Jared Tebow we were at the track a few months ago, and we were messing around with this first version of the gas truck, and he was driving. He's like, dude, it's got way too much drag brake. Take it all out. And I said, what are you talking about? You can't drive a gas truck without drag brake. That's the foundation of gas truck is drag brake. And he's like, dude, I don't use any drag brakes. So we took it all out. I'm like, you're joking. There's no way. And sure enough, he's like, that's perfect. He says, try it. You'll like it. I'm like, no, I hate it. It's awful.
Now I know you're talking gas truck, but you and I and all of us drove with brushed motors in electric that had the drag brake built in. That I don't know if Tebow would have missed that.
He
would have been just coming in when
he was brushed motors.
Yeah.
Tebow's like 40.
Early. When did brushless was a big thing?
He's probably 30 something, but
yeah, I think
he looks like me with curly hair.
No, listen, he was real fast. He was 13 in like 2001.
Yeah.
So if brushless came in like 2000, like I don't know, but it would have been close. He probably didn't drive a lot of brushed, and most of his career has been. I'm not saying that's a thing, but But then again, you would just put the drag brake in the speed control. But still,
I think
if
08 was the first year that we started competitions with brushless.
Okay, so he would have had almost a decade. All right, I retract it.
Yeah, it wasn't that long. It wasn't that long ago.
Right.
Yeah, 01. We were. What are you talking about? We were drunk at Hooters. They were still resting.
Well, which is probably why I don't remember exactly when the brushless motors came out.
It was Chicago, so we didn't brushless. Brushless didn't last. Remember that was the big. Well,
Adam's going to be the new Mezco. Mezco comes on every week and talks about beer. Now Adam's going to come on and mention my hair every week now. I love you, Adam.
Yeah, I don't drive with drag brake. Talking about drag, I can't drive with drag brake at all.
Really? I usually
do.
have massive amounts. If you let off with my cars, you do donuts.
I'm not that aggressive, but I like drag brake like Chad.
Pretty sure Cliff Lett's the one that told me, is like, if you can let a computer do it for you, it's smarter than you. It's more consistent. But I can't do it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. If you're used to letting off and letting the thing coast and then, driving through the corner with coasting, then having the car slow down and controlling that slowdown with your throttle fingers is just very different. But
yeah.
And it's not only about that. There's all sorts of things drag brake does. Like I like it a lot to dip the nose over the jumps. Well, why when I leave the face to land the downside, why would I move my finger from neutral to brake if I can have it set up so it dips just perfectly? So I mean, there's other advantages than just on the track where a bit of drag.
Believe me, I know one of the things at least talked about, and at least probably the secret of the pros is braking performance. I mean, that's true in Formula One. It's how much the car stops, not so much how much it accelerates, right? It's where you can brake the last second.
Yeah, that's all of
it. Cyril.
This is now just to talk about Jeff's hair show.
Josh is gonna be a guest in the next few weeks. We got lots to talk about.
But have you been awake all day, Jeff? Or is that
I have been awake all day.
We just met, but I don't know.
He's new to the show, but he knows what's going on right now.
He's quick. He catches on right.
I don't know what your schedule is. Do you work?
Yes. Well, it's
I'm
not like it used to be.
I've known Jeff for 20-some years, and I don't know what the hell he does or when he does it.
Yeah.
He's never seen the movie Groundhog Day, and I tell him it's.
No, I haven't. I know, but you yell something to me all the time about it, so I assume it's a writer who doesn't get his stuff done.
It's repeating the same day over and over your whole entire life.
Yeah, no, I know the basic premise of the show. Yeah, of the movie. Yes.
So, back to the conversions. If you're interested, if you're going to be watching this in the future, you may be able to buy one, but you probably have to pre-order it. And are there any plans to have like is rally a right word, a truck race, anything to where it's like a showcase? And what would be your perfect track? Because we talked about how A-scale tracks have grown to like sight bike and kind of like stupid proportions. Nice. I think the nice part of the gas truck, if you just run it alone, you could go back to a 10 scale size track.
Yeah.
Sure.
To me, like in my mind, there's two perfect tracks, and they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. One is hot rod.
Yeah.
Obviously, nobody could argue that with the grip and the size and everything. The other was similar to the track I mentioned earlier in Oklahoma, where it was just sandy rolling, and you just end up with sand rollers no matter where acceleration bumps, brake bumps.
Right.
Those are the perfect tracks, and yeah.
I was actually the Nitro Challenge track layout was a little bit more flowing, and I think tracks got too many jumps to where it was all timing and no like actual speed and I don't want to call it driving, but you need a little bit more flowing in the track to have it somewhat exciting, to not to just be, hey, can I make this quad, double, triple quad, step down, backflip section?
Less Supercross Excite bike.
But you're also seeing the pro drivers who are hitting the quad over and over, or the triple double or whatever.
Well,
There's a number of lines that could be taken.
Or it sucks a bag of dicks. That's what I'm saying. Like for
that's
me,
the point, right?
I can't even. I mean, you can't even concentrate on the show for 50 minutes. Never mind 30 laps of.
Are we still doing this?
Yeah. Huh? But for me, that, like I said, I think some of the things that if you're going to bring this class back, it has to be addressed before, is that you can't go out to this, I can't see the end of the straight track where there's, all this complicated stuff. You kind of have to go back to a little bit of more flat rolling. Yeah. You can have some complicated.
We already touched on it. You won't
track is that.
You won't really be able to couple 10 scale with 8 scale anymore. Is most likely the result of that.
Well, I build most of our tracks. It's a track called Fastlane Raceway. It's in Blue Springs. There's Jared Tebow usually posts some videos in practicing and stuff there, but I build most of our layouts on the outdoor track. And I'm pretty 10 scale minded, so any of our layouts over the last 10 years, you could throw a 10 scale down on. Not even intentionally. It's just kind of the size my brain works.
Well, probably most local tracks are like that as well. I mean, DNC and all that's not your regular
those are the exceptions.
Club race. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, no, I agree with that for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I think most club tracks are pretty manageable.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Joey's tracks are always club race because that's what we did. He ran a club race forever.
Well, Joey's an anomaly as a track builder, but yeah, right.
But I think some of that track, you have to adjust the track. And like I said, I mean, I'm not bringing back a class, but I'm saying some of the things that might help it. And it's a different animal at this point. We're going to have to be on a smaller track. And I was always confused that tracks will build these things for, okay, we're going to build it so you have to hit this quad. But if you double the jumps, the second jump is backwards. So you couldn't double it. You'd like, they don't pay attention to the jumps in the middle. So if you're running multiple classes, you should almost build it for the slowest class to what it's going to do. Okay, it's a double slowest, but you have to build it so if someone triple singles, that the single is actually a jump.
That's an error in the track.
You're not an error in the back of a jump, which I see that more than not on a lot of tracks, is that you have this, loose dirt on the backside of something that if you don't have this Superman jump. Yeah. That you
can't have a complex jump with no other option on how to get through that section, right?
Yeah,
but that's just an error in building the track. That's not every like.
Yeah, but that's a lot of places for me. I mean,
right, yeah. Then people should be more vocal on something like that because you can't make something kamikaze and then not have a way out if you're not going to be able to. No one can nail the perfect crazy line every time, anyways. You have to have a way out.
Yeah, and then the other side of that story too is saying tracks need to change. I feel like the voice lies with the customer. And, if people say this is what we want, then the tracks don't necessarily dictate what people want. People dictate what they want. So
that's right.
I feel like it's kind of a self-correcting conversation or issue. I don't know. I might be wrong, but.
No, I'm with you. 100%.
You're not going to. So if you show up to an A-scale track with your conversion, you're not going to change the track with one. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's got to be a movement before the track, and and it has to adapt it because if someone shows up,
but it also doesn't matter if everyone's running. Everyone in the gas truck class. If you have to slowly single through that crazy quad, whether it's all loamed up on the front side or not, everyone has to do that. So it doesn't. Everyone in that class has to do it. So it's not the end of the world if a track is difficult. Everyone will have the same. Everyone's in the same position. Everyone's in the same boat on that one. So. Although it would be less fun to drive and may take away from the class, which is an obvious thing, right?
You want people to come back.
Yeah,
seems to be a good business model.
Yeah, I don't know when we talk tracks. I guess I picture obviously hot rod, like I mentioned, and then all the Florida. Florida has massive 10 scale outdoor following,
right?
And I might be silver lining kind of guy, so I only picture all the prime locations and not the bad ones.
Yeah, right. And you're talking about a much higher percentage with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the big tracks, there are still small tracks out there, and that for me is the value of 10 scale is, I was thinking about it. Should it be 4-wheel drive? And then I was like, well, I mean, that's like saying there shouldn't be 2-wheel drive buggy because 4-wheel drive buggy exists. So
You're right.
Again, I liked nitro truck. I thought it was really fun, or engine truck, and I wanted to come back. I would have thought, I honestly would have thought it would have been a short course version. So if you're thinking about it, an extra conversion, give it a little.
It wouldn't take much with what you already got made.
It's two parts. That's the difference.
Yeah, right.
It's 2 parts. So.
Saying, you could have
What if
another
you
line.
Do some drawings
What if
after
you
the
had a
show.
conversion for your conversion?
What's that?
What if you had a conversion for your conversion?
Double conversion, and then convert it back to electric at the end.
Don't offer it as a short course version. You have to buy the stadium truck first, and then you can only have to show the receipt. Then can you buy the chassis and the upper deck?
Hey, don't laugh. There were several brands that sold didn't Associated have stuff like they released the kit and then offered a different transmission right after.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, this is not uncommon.
Right.
Hey, we sold this rear motor, but then we sold a 4-gear mid-motor conversion.
Yeah.
So
Well, they did it for very noble reasons. They gave you the one that they figured you want most, and then if you're
no, I think immediately when that car came out, everybody switched to the transmission. But whatever. I mean, again, so the track depends where you test. If it worked at one track, then the rest of the country it sucks. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
we should have sent it to more places. But
well, didn't that happen with? A little off topic, but similar conversation. Wasn't it Panther Tires or one of those tire manufacturers were like super popular in like one area of Florida because of the type of soil it was there?
Panther
didn't work so well anywhere else in the world or whatever, but they did very well in the areas they did well in.
Yes,
I kind of remember.
Panther was the old Losi. Panther was the original Losi tires.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, they have the that's the original rubber.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that.
Panther had some really good rubber. Yeah.
Yeah.
We ran it in the Midwest a lot. I don't remember.
I think that's where it was. Midwest, that Panther still.
Yeah, I said Florida. I didn't know what state it was, but I think there was an area where they were like dominant, but nowhere else they worked so well or something.
I think I personally ran it like once or twice, but they were good. They were good tires. I didn't know they were Losi rubber though. That's kind of.
Nor did I. No, I didn't know that either.
There was I'm pretty sure you remember the original Losi tires. I think that was Panther making it for
Yeah,
them.
you're not talking 4.0 and X pattern. I mean, you mean, or are you talking as far back as that?
No, like
Or the step pins and the
yes, and the stubbies or whatever.
like
all
the
that
2.2 inch when they went to the yellow and white header.
Yeah,
That range. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
I don't know if Adam was still here, he probably could have answered that question better. Than me,
Yeah.
but pretty
He
sure.
already talked about my hair. He's gone. He's long gone.
Fucking hair products in and out. He just came here for the tips of product.
The sniper.
God. Anyway, we're gonna wrap this up. Chad, it was nice having you on.
Yeah, thanks,
and
guys.
talking about gas truck with someone that likes nitro, because usually I'm the only guy here that defends nitro because they're all like, just run. It's so much easier just to plug it in. I don't care, and let's run it.
Why do you say you're the only one here that defends nitro? I'm always with you on nitro. It's 8-scale nitro is one of my favorite classes as well. Anyway, I just
Are you talking to me?
He's not feeling it.
Watch the shows. What? You're on a different show all of a sudden.
I've never once said I don't like. Oh, here Adam is here.
Yes.
Yeah, you were right.
It's one of the random things that was sent to me once, and I remembered it for the rest of my life. I think Pops told me that, or someone. I don't know who the heck told me that.
Pops would be a reasonable person to tell you that.
Yeah. I don't know. Somebody told me in Losi that was the original one we were talking about Panther, but so everybody that's into nitro besides Jeff, who pretends to be into nitro and want to run gas truck, it's worth going into. It's going to cost you some coin, but hey, it's worth it. You could get all the stuff you need on what's your website?
IgniteDesignRC.com.
Here, I'll put it in
And
here.
if you get bored with your Ignite nitro conversion, Joe can help you convert it back to an electric with one of his GT electric conversions.
There you go. Conversion on
So
conversion.
go full circle if you wanted to.
Honestly, one of the dumber things I've ever still heard in my life. But
It is.
Joe bought it. So I've never driven it, but I think he still has it. Get out there, pre-order it.
Joe's going to make a mess of my body when he paints it.
Make the stadium truck. Everybody wants an extra inch, so you make the stadium truck, chub it up and let it get a stadium truck body on there too. And then we'll be back next week, maybe. We don't really have a plan, nor normally a topic or anything. This was last.
Maybe we'll take next week off.
Odds are Jeff will take next week off, but we should be here, or one or none or all of us. So that usually is like a Jeff answer. Yeah, sure. No, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Right.
Peace.